Shalom. First and foremost, all praises go into Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kadash. Double honors going to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, salutations going to the hopefully elect tabernacle of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, diligently laboring in his truth, in all righteousness and sincerity. So back again with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And this is a base level milk lesson going into what did quote unquote Christ come to fulfill. Now I'm referring to the Messiah, the Savior of the 12 tribes of Israel, whom the world ignorantly calls Christ, but his real name in the Lashon Kadash is Yahweh Shai, meaning Yahweh is salvation. Okay? And it's important that we go back to these base lessons, these milk lessons for the new believers. Okay, because you always have new brothers and sisters coming into the faith, coming out of Christianity and other philosophies, especially now with the Kyrie Irving and Kanye situation. So you have brothers and sisters that need understanding as to where they went wrong, as to where their doctrine was off in Christianity, right? Because Christianity, some things they have on point, but there's more falsehood in the religion of Christianity than there is truth. See? So, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying through the Rakah Kadash, and we're going to get into it today. So we're going to start here, the book of Matthew 5 and 17. And this is Christ, or Yahweh Shai, whom the world inwardly calls Christ speaking. And it says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill." So right here, out of his own mouth, Yahweh Shai says that I'm not come to destroy the law or the prophets, right? But in Christianity, they teach you that, the law is done away with. We don't have to keep no laws. We are saved through faith in Christ, which is not off, but at the same time, they going off when they teaching that you don't have to keep the laws. You don't have to, obey the Heavenly Father. The Lord said, if you love me, keep my commandments. So how can a Christian pastor teach that the law is done away with? So that's going off, right? And it says, I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So Yahweh Shai said, I ain't come to destroy the law or the prophets. I stand on the law and the prophets. I've come to fulfill what was written of me by them. And he goes on to double down. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Last time I checked, heaven and earth is still here. And it says one jot or one tittle. So not even the smallest, minutest detail of the law shall pass until all be fulfilled. World War III ain't came yet. The MOTB hasn't been put in place yet. Yahweh Shai hasn't returned. The kingdom of heaven hasn't been set up. All has not been fulfilled. So guess what? The law still stands. So this is one of the biggest and most dangerous doctrines that Christianity pushes onto our people, because it promotes wickedness and lawlessness, which is why we went into captivity in the first place. We went into slavery under our enemies because we transgressed against the commandments. We didn't keep our end of the contract that we made with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Now, dealing with I'm not come to destroy the law but to fulfill. What did Yahweh Shai come to fulfill? Well, let's see. Let's go to Isaiah. Let's bring this out. Let's go to Isaiah 59, and we're going to jump down to verse 20. Because it was already prophesied by the prophet Isaiah that a Redeemer would come to Zion to turn away. Let's read it. Isaiah 59 and 20, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith the Lord. So the Redeemer Isaiah is referring to here is Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, shall come to Zion. Right? I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And unto them of Zion that turn from transgression in Jacob. So he ain't come for the whole world. He didn't come. You can't find nowhere in the scriptures where it was prophesied that the Redeemer would come to redeem the whole world, to redeem all nations. That doesn't exist, which is another doctrine that Christianity goes off on. That Yahushua came to save all who believe. That's not the case. He came for his people. Okay, saith the Lord. As for me, this is my covenant with them, saith the Lord, my spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed's seed. So who is it dealing with? Who did the Lord make a covenant with on the Mount Sinai? The children of Israel. That's who this covenant pertains to. That's why it says, and my words which I have put in thy mouth shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, saith the Lord, for henceforth and forever. So this is a forever covenant that the Lord has made with his people, not dealing with all nations. So now let's go back to Matthew 5:17. Yahushua came to fulfill what was written of him, to come and redeem his people through his blood so they can have a way back to the Father, so that all Israel, as it is written, should be saved. That was the mission of Yahushua, man. Okay, to be the Redeemer, to be the Savior. So now let's go to the book of Matthew, the first chapter. Because all of what happened in Yahushua's life was written of by the prophets. That's what he came to fulfill. That's what we're going to prove here in this lesson. See, now this is Matthew 1. Let's jump down to 23. It says, behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is Yahweh with us. Now who prophesied of this? Who prophesied that a virgin shall be with child and bring forth a son? The prophet Isaiah. Let's go here. Isaiah 7:14. Check this out. Isaiah 7:14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. See that? So this is how you understand the scriptures, line upon line, precept upon precept. All right? You can't just, it's like you watching a movie. You can't start the movie with 20 minutes left and expect to understand the whole entirety of the movie. No, you have to understand what came before to understand how the movie progressed up until that point. Same thing with the scriptures. You can't just start in the New Testament as Christians like to do. They don't like to deal with the Old Testament. They'll pick and choose scriptures out of the Old Testament that agree with their doctrine, or they'll twist it. Understand? But they won't deal with the entirety of the law and the prophets. They just want to stick in the New Testament and say, oh, no, well, we're Christians, so we just deal with Christ. We just deal with the New Testament. They already deal with the Old Testament. But how can you understand the New Testament without the Old? You have to understand, at the time of Yahushua, there was no such thing as a New Testament. They were all what they knew and understood. All the testimonies that they had were from the law and the prophets, which is contained in what? The Torah, the Old Testament. So without the Old Testament, how can you understand the New? It makes no sense. But yet this is what these Christian pastors teach you, and this is why the doctrine of Christianity makes no sense. It's not what the scriptures teach, it's what man teaches. And this is why Christianity has destroyed our people as a whole and promoted more lawlessness and wickedness within our communities. See? But yeah, you have to have a firm foundation with the Old Testament to understand the New. That's the only way that you can get the Bible, line upon line, precept upon precept. So you can see here, Matthew 1:23 and Isaiah 7:14 directly link up. Why? Because this was a prophecy. That what? Going back to Matthew 5:17, I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. He came to fulfill what was written of him by the prophets. Now let's go back. Right? Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and took unto him his wife, and knew her not until she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Yahushua. Now, Let's go on to Matthew, the 2nd chapter, because there's more written of Yahweh Shai that he came to fulfill. Let's jump down to verse 15. Matthew 2:15. Now this is during the time of King Herod. You know, if you know the story of the wise men, they came to him and told him that the Savior was to be born. Herod was up in arms. He was afraid that if this child was born, he would overthrow his kingdom. So he issued out the decree that all of the firstborn males in Judea should be killed. Right? So now this is Matthew 2:15. Well, let's start up a little bit. Matthew 2:13. And when they had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appears to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Let's go here. Pay attention. And y'all should be writing these things down so y'all can understand this as well. Take notes. The prophet Hosea prophesied this. Hosea 11:1. When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. See that? This is how you understand the scriptures, because if you never read the Old Testament, if you never read the prophets, how would you understand what prophecies that Yahweh Shai came to fulfill? You can't understand it. It's impossible. This is why the foundation of the Old Testament, the law and the prophets, must be established to understand the New Testament. A lot of Christians like to bring up Paul. They like to bring up Paul's writings. Well, you can't understand what Paul is saying unless you understand the law and the prophets, because going back to the point I made earlier, the New Testament did not exist at the time of Paul, the apostles, Yahweh Shai. These things came later. You see, but they were building off of the foundation of the Old Testament, of the Torah. So it's important to have that foundational understanding, which Christianity does not push on our people. See, they just push a very one-sided version of the scriptures. Right? Let's jump down to Matthew 2:18. Well, let's read this 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet. Now, when it says Jeremy here, this is speaking about the prophet Jeremiah. Right, just to make that clarification. The prophet saying, In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, it would not be comforted because they are not. Now let's go to where Jeremiah spoke about this. Jeremiah 31. We're going to jump down to verse 15. Jeremiah 31:15. Thus saith the Lord, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rahel, weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children because they were not. Now, going into what Jeremiah is speaking about, this is going into the captivity of the 12 tribes when they were exiled, right? Where, the murder of, the innocent children was taking place. But it was also used. It was also used here in Matthew 2:18 to describe the murder of the innocent children in Bethlehem at the time of King Herod. See, so there are a lot of future prophecies in the Old Testament which were fulfilled at the time of Yahweh Shai, but will also happen again in the last days before Yahweh Shai returns. See, let's go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew 3. This is John the Baptist coming in, right? In those days came John the Baptist preaching in the wilderness of Judea, and saying, Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, saying, The voice of one crying in the wilderness, Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. Now let's go to Isaiah 40. Okay? Because all these things that are being spoken of in the book of Matthew was prophesied by the prophets. Isaiah 40:3. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our power. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. So John the Baptist is quoting the prophet Isaiah. You see? And this is the flaw of our Christian pastors, because, well, not our, but the pastors that shepherd, or the shepherd over our people, man. They don't teach the Bible precept upon precept. They just cherry pick certain scriptures here and there, and they don't even break it down. They just go into, really they just make it a roundabout way of trying to get you to give money. That's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? They'll just pick certain verses here and there to make it sound good so you can give, man. But at the end of the day, they're not teaching you precept upon precept. If you ask a lot of these pastors where this prophecy was written of, they can't tell you, because they don't get into the Old Testament. When they go to seminary school, they're not taught the Old Testament like that. That's why they don't really go into it. See? Matthew 3:4, and the same John had his raiment of camel's hair, and a leather girdle about his loins, and his meat was locusts and wild honey. Okay, so John the Baptist was out there, man. Sighing and crying, telling our people to repent, baptizing them. And John the Baptist, this is another thing to keep in mind. John the Baptist wasn't this put together, guy. He wasn't wearing elaborate garments. You know what I'm saying? It says what? He had a raiment of camel's hair, and he ate locusts and wild honey. See? But they despised John the Baptist, man. See, don't the scriptures say that the poor man's wisdom is despised? You see that? So, yeah, man, John the Baptist spoke of the coming of Yahushua. He spoke of the coming of the Savior. Let's jump down to Matthew 3:15 real quick. Matthew 3:15. Well, Salaki, let me start up a little bit. 3:13. Then cometh Yahushua from Galilee to Jordan unto John, to be baptized of him. But but John forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of thee, and comest thou to me? So John is like, wait a minute. You need to baptize me. Why are you coming over here so that I can baptize you? You are greater than I, Lord. You need to baptize me, right? And Yahushua answering said unto him, Suffer it to be so now, for thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him. Now, let's stop right here. Because when you go back to Matthew 5:17, I am not come to destroy but to fulfill. Now, according to Christianity, they would have you believe that, Yahushua making that statement, he's saying that I've come to do away with the law. The law no longer applies because I've come to fulfill it. So let's keep that same logic. So when we go into Matthew 3:15, he said, For thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. So you saying that Yahushua is saying that he came to do away with all righteousness, right? That don't make no sense. Once again, you can't find that the law is done away with nowhere in the scriptures. Yahushua said himself that until all be fulfilled, the law still stands. So yes, we must still keep the law. We're still under that covenant, man. Now, keeping the law does not make us righteous, but it is righteous to do the will of the Lord. That's how we show the Lord that we love him. It's not salvation by works alone, you see, but faith without works is dead. So we believe upon Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So therefore, we do his works. Therefore, we keep his laws to the best of our ability because we have that faith, man. That's where it all comes in. Understand? And Yahushua, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were opened unto him. And he saw the Spirit of Yahweh descending like a dove and lightning upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Okay, let's go to Matthew 4, the 4th chapter. Hopefully y'all should be getting it by now, that he come to fulfill what was written of him in the law and the prophets. Matthew 4 and 7. Matter of fact, let's start up a little bit to get the context. Then the devil taketh him up to the holy city. Now, of course, this is when Yahushua fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. And he's coming off the fast. He's very hungry, and Satan came to tempt him. So that's the context of what's going on here. Matthew 4 and 5. And the devil taketh him up into the holy city of Jerusalem, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and saith unto him, If thou be the Son of Yahweh, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Right? Now let's pay attention. Matthew 4 and 7. Yahushua said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Now, see, Satan trying to get him to go off. You see, Satan trying to get Yahushua to tempt the Lord. See? But hey, what did Yahushua do? Yahushua rebuked him with the scriptures. Now let's go to where that was written. Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. And we're going to jump down to about the 16th verse. Yep. Well, let's start at 15. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Ye shall not tempt the Lord your God as ye tempted him in Massah. So it is written, man, that ye shall not tempt the Lord your God. So Yahushua was quoting. Now, who wrote the book of Deuteronomy? Moses. So he was quoting the prophet Moses, who said, Ye shall not tempt the Lord your God, man. Let's go back. Let's jump down to Matthew 4 and 10. Well, 4 and 9. And saith unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Right? Taking them up to the temple, he showed them all the kingdoms of the world. So Satan basically says, sell out, bow down and worship me, and do my will, and I'm going to give you all the kingdoms and the riches of the earth. So basically, Satan was already trying to give Yahushua what was his. You see? Yahushua gave Satan all the kingdoms and the riches of the world. You see? But then Yahushua said what? Then saith Yahushua unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Let's go to Matthew 6 and 5. Let's go back to, I said Matthew, Salakia. Deuteronomy 6 and 5. And thou shalt love, was Salakia 6 and 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. See that? So these things are written. So when Satan come with that off doctrine, with that off trying to tempt them, what is Yahushua doing? He's cutting them with the word. And this also shows you that Satan knows the scriptures as well. So it's nothing for the devil to use a minister of unrighteousness to spread false doctrine, because Satan also knows the scriptures. So that means that he can twist it any which way. And if you don't understand what the scriptures actually say, you will easily be misled into these false doctrines. See, this is why a foundation in the scriptures, line upon line, precept upon precept, must be at the front and foremost of your formal education in the Bible. If that's not the case, someone can go to the book of Paul and say, oh, well, Paul said this and he said that, not understanding that Paul himself was a student of the law and the prophets Paul was a Pharisee. So why would Paul go against the law and the prophets when that's what his education was on? That's like he actually upheld the law. So it doesn't make sense for him to go against it. But you have these Christians that'll try to use Paul's writings not out of context and try to say that, oh, this is done away with and Paul said this as if Paul died for them. Paul didn't die for you. Yahweh Shai died for you. So Yahweh Shai's word is over Paul's any day. But of course, we know that Paul was the, anointed apostle of Yahweh Shai. Paul learned from Yahweh Shai when he was knocked off of that horse. So Paul wasn't coming with nothing different from what he learned from Yahweh Shai. See? Let's go to Matthew 22. Let's jump down to 37. Matthew 22. And, matter of fact, let's start up. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Yahweh Shai said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments, this is the point, on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So did Yahweh Shai teach against the law and the prophets, or did he establish? Did he double down on the law and the prophets? So Yahweh Shai said that these two commandments, because why? Why would he say that on this hang all the law and the prophets? Because Yahweh Shai understood that that he didn't come with his own doctrine. He ain't come with nothing different than what the law and other prophets came with. He ain't come with nothing different. He came with the same doctrine. All he really came to do was to make the law less about your flesh and more about your spirit. See, Yahweh Shai came to renew the inward man. Because under the law, it was pretty much like Jake had the temple. If you committed a sin, you could take your sin sacrifice up into the temple, sacrifice, and then go right back out and do the same sin. So after a while, the whole sacrifice system became ran down. You know what I'm saying? Yahweh Shai really didn't even regard it at that point because it wasn't sincere. Your inner man was not being renewed. Yeah, you gave a sacrifice. Yeah, you sacrificed unto the Lord as an atonement, but your heart wasn't right. So that's why, the Lord did away with the temple. That's why the Lord did away with that whole system of sacrifice. And now, if you want salvation, you have to believe on Yahweh Shai. This is why these things were done away with. And Christianity is not teaching you this, man. See? That's why the scriptures say that you have to be born again. You cannot enter the kingdom unless you've been born again, man. You have to be brainwashed. And I'm not talking about bugged out and you believing in occult practice. I'm talking about brainwashed as in washing your brain, cleansing your brain of all the wickedness and filth that you've learned in this world, man. You have to become born again and take on the true doctrine, the true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures. As it is written, not according to man's feelings, not according to what we say, but according to what is written. And everything that I brought out in this lesson today, you should go behind and study to show yourself approved. Don't just take what I'm saying for it. I'm going through the scriptures, but at the same time, you got to do your own due diligence to, download this in your own spirit, man. But hey, Yahweh Shai said on these two commandments, what? Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. Right? Which is what? That's from the book of Deuteronomy. Okay? And again, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. When you deal with the 10 commandments, the first 5 deal with how to love the Lord thy God, and the last 5 deal with how to love your neighbor. Just go and look at it. The whole law, all of the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. Not saying these are the only 2 commandments that you have to keep, which is what Christianity teaches. But basically, if you can keep the 10, then you keep all the other ones by default. That's why I said these are the 2 greatest commandments. All the other commandments that we have to keep, they just go into detail. Okay, you have different type of laws. You have civil law, ceremonial law, sacrificial law. The sacrificial law is in away with because now Yahweh Shai is our sacrifice, right? But Yahweh Shai said on these two commandments hang on the law and the prophets. So you see through and through the scriptures in the Old Testament and in the New, the prophets are established, the law is established. Christ came to fulfill what was written of him. And that's pretty much it. And to redeem his people. See, to through him that we can have a way back to the Father so that we can, once we repent and come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, we can have salvation and ultimately inherit the kingdom. See? So that's the understanding of what Yahweh Shai came to fulfill. Now I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. Hopefully this lesson was edifying through the Rakah Kadash. In closing, call Halal Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakah Kadash. And until next time, Shalom to the elect. Come Yasha'ala DTA and abide ball. Shalom.